Welcome to Jonesin, where we go over trippy true crime and the drama that surrounds it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe.
Hang on, hold on. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Chris.
Wait, does that mean that I'm not Chris? Now we have the full truth. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody that's accusing me, truth not feelings, that I'm Chris, will you say hello at the same time at the count of three? Yes, sir. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Oh, they're gonna say it echoed. I'm just throwing that out there.
Chris, I am so sorry for what you and Katie are going through. I thank you both for your service. I'm just so sorry for what y'all are going through.
No, we appreciate it. I mean, it's people have their opinions and they have their emotions, and it's perfectly okay.
Well, some people need to shove their opinions completely up their ass and shut the fuck up and sit down.
I can agree, but, I also have to give the respect that
I know.
it's their opinion, so.
I know.
But it has been an eventful night, I will say that much.
Lord.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah.
So-
how are you doing? I mean.
Oh, we're doing fine. I mean,
So, and they were there looking for places to search. I'm confused.
I don't know what their purpose is. If that's what they say they were doing, then that's what I'll go with. But I'm not speculating to say what they were or were not doing. Chris, truth, not fiction, or not for feelings. Listen, do you mind if I ask you just a couple of real quick questions? Because I feel like everybody says, well, Chris has never asked anything, and I don't feel like you have anything to hide. And you can say you can't answer it, you won't answer it, but I feel like if I have the opportunity to talk to you and I didn't ask you 4 or 5 questions, then I wouldn't be doing myself justice. Are you okay with that? Yeah, far away, man. Like I said, and, if I can't answer it, I won't. Absolutely. My questions aren't even about anything after everything's happened, right? My questions are really plain. Did you do anything whatsoever to Sebastian? No, sir. Okay. Do you know anybody who did anything? Do you have direct knowledge of anybody who did anything to Sebastian on the 25th or the 26th? No, sir. Okay. When you were in your camper, right, and people were assuming you were on vacation, would you like to give a reason as to why Katie left the house and went with you as opposed to staying at the house? That is that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, there are people out there that have done some very heinous comments, threats. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And we do turn them into law enforcement. So, I mean, it's not like, oh my God, we're going to delete them. No, we turn them into law enforcement just so that they are aware, like, look, this is a continuous thing. There is a difference in an opinion and a threat. Right. And we have received those. And who wants to be alone? I mean, don't take this wrong. There are some crazies out there that will do some pretty crazy stuff. Nobody's going to want to be alone, and that's just not fair. I can 100% agree with that. I figured that would be your answer. And I know this has been answered before, but apparently, people can't seem to grasp it, so I'm going to ask it again. Dogs have been through your house, both cadaver and search dogs, correct? Oh, yeah. Anywhere from 13 to 18 different dogs have been in my house. I mean, several times. I mean, I know for a fact in the first 8 days, I've had more people in this house than have been in this house in the last 2 years that I know of. Right. I can understand that. If you were going to tell people what they should do, search related, would you have your personal opinion on where people should search? If by knowing how Sebastian is, knowing his personality, if you were going to look at a map and say, okay, he ran out, which that's my belief is that he ran out the front door. From there's been a massive search within the 5-mile radius. Do you feel like it's time to search outside of that 5-mile radius, or do we need to go further than 10, 15, 20? I personally, as much as I have seen, and I mean, Seth and his crew, I believe, have seen the same maps that we've all seen. The 5-mile radius from the house has been very thoroughly checked. Now, am I going to say 1,000% every little grass blade has been inspected? No. But as much as they have searched, I'd say going outside of the 5-mile radius would be a good start instead of just staying inside of that 5-mile radius. Now, if there is something, that has not been discovered or somebody comes across something and it may suggest otherwise, by all means, I am not going to say don't. But, I mean, if we just stay inside that 5-mile radius, then we are not doing Sebastian any justice. Right, and I completely understand that. I have one more question. This is going to be a really tough question that I'm going to ask with respect, okay? No, and I fully expect you to tell me that you're not going to answer it. There has been a massive amount of information, misinformation, different information that's related to Seth and Katie, and when Seth and Katie met, and a comment that Seth had made about termination before Sebastian was born. And as a man, I have to ask, was the relationship between Seth and Katie something you would not be okay with your daughter having a relationship with when they met each other when she was underage? Well, I can answer that. I mean, there's no question. No, my daughter would not. And I don't care who it is. My daughter will not have any form of a relationship in that magnitude, period, with a man. I don't care. Okay. My daughter is just as
I meant
important
that
to me, Sebastian, but
I was using your, not to interrupt you, I was using your daughter as an example. What I meant, I guess what I'm trying to say is, was there a relationship between Katie and Seth that occurred before she was 18 years old that would be inappropriate as a father, for you to look at as a father? Does that make sense?
yes, sir. And from what I understand, yes.
Okay.
Now, and I will say this much, that is not, I have what the two parties have told me before to go off of. I mean, Seth has made his statements. Katie, I know where she stands with it. I mean, it is what it is. And, you know, it sucks that the tragedy of Sebastian going missing has dug out so much dirt and negative. And it's really sad that it has to get to that point where things get to this. And it has actually absolutely nothing to do with Sebastian missing. You know, I still don't understand why YouTube and TikTok and everybody out there has to dig. I mean, I do understand it to a point, but I don't at the same time. Meaning, you know, I know it's clicks and it's money and it's, you know, the juicy drama that a lot of people feed on. But quite honestly, it's channels about finding Sebastian, or it's finding missing children. Not just Sebastian, but other folks.
Right.
I think if everybody got back to where their heart was when they started their channels, it would be amazing how much everybody could work together and come as one big cohesive unit and turn around and find a way to make this work and find the people, not just one child, but find everybody.
Right. I know. You know what? I think you're 100% correct. I'm going to ask this last one. I promise you. And then I'll shut up. It's kind of a combination of two. The first one would be: is there any comment or theories that you've heard on YouTube or otherwise that you think are absolutely ridiculous, and you'd like to take the opportunity to shut down, or at least give some insight onto why that's a waste of resources and you know, people's time that are out searching and looking for Sebastian?
So personally, people are going to be upset with this answer. I think all of the assumptions and all the things that are out there being said are bogus. I truly do. I think they're absolutely hogwash, and for people to continuously entertain them, other than just stepping back and just trying to look at it from just, maybe it is just so simple that it's that complicated, that a 15-year-old child walked out of a house and has disappeared. And after everybody's said anything and asked all these questions, you know, and trying to get them to understand, you know, everybody has worked with law enforcement, both sides of this coin. Seth has worked with law enforcement. We have been working with law enforcement, trying to get answers, theories, anything we can to debunk whatever it needs to be debunked. But, you know, people are going to keep continuously making their own suggestions and coming up with their own prerogatives and assumptions of this, that, and whatnot.
Right.
You
So
know, it sucks.
if you were going to have the opportunity to talk to Seth, right, would you give him any advice on the new team he has? And then do you think he would listen to you if you did?
I don't know if he'll listen to me. I would personally, I'd rather have a conversation in private with him. And when
Is this your way of telling him, hey, Seth, reach out. It's time for us to have a real conversation without all the extra shit?
We've tried that multiple times. I don't know where it goes from here, but if anything, to Seth, you know, people are out there like, okay, that audio file that got leaked, you know, leaked is leaked. It doesn't matter. Once it leaves the primary principal person and goes somewhere else, it is considered leaked. It doesn't matter. I don't care what the justification is. It's a leaked file. You know, is that doing any justice to anybody? No, absolutely not. All it did was just start more garbage and rhetoric and crap. That's all it did. You know, Seth, if he was to listen, it would have to be a conversation, him and I, absolutely nobody around. I wouldn't even want a cell phone in mine or his possession. Nothing.
Right.
Because there's absolutely no way that conversation needs to leave him or myself. If Katie is present, then it would be the three of us. But, you know, it just comes right back to getting all the stuff washed away. All the YouTubes and everything pushed off to the side and just coming right back to the basics and stick to the basics. You know, it worked. It was great for the first 2 days, and day 3, it fell apart, and then from there forward, it has just stayed apart.
You know, I've thought about this, and I've watched Seth from the beginning to now, and I almost wonder, do you think okay, watching Seth tonight, it seemed like he was, you know, close to that edge of breaking. And no matter what anybody feels about Seth one way or the other, I think it's very important that we discuss mental health and men's mental health. And so in this situation, I think it's time that someone reach out and check on, you know, Seth's mental health away from all this other stuff. And I just want to throw that out there, that I saw a man tonight, regardless of what anybody personally feels, that appeared to me like he was hurting. And that's never good to see.
Well,
so I guess,
I mean, I will back you up on that. Seth has been hurting since the moment he got the phone call and we talked. Seth has been hurting because he's missing his son. But then again, at the same time, you have a mother who is hurting just as equally. I'm hurting just as much. Probably, I'm not going to say I know exactly how he feels, because there's a difference in the stepfather and the father, of course. But at the same time,
I don't agree with that, by the way, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't ever want to, and I'm in that same situation with my daughter and my ex-wife. You know, if there's another man that comes into a relationship, into a family, and that man steps up and becomes that extra parental figure, that father figure, dad figure, whatever, and they treat them good and they teach them well, to me, I don't think there's any difference. People will say when you have a married man and woman and they never divorce and they stay together, that's amazing. But I also think those who are products of divorces are even luckier because they don't get one parent. They don't get two. They get four parents. They get four families. That, I mean, who could ask? Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want four families? I don't know. I get baffled when I hear people like, oh my God, he's just a... No, it don't matter.
Right. Can you tell us or give us an update on how Katie's doing and her mental health at this time?
She's doing good. I mean, she's hanging in there for what the situation is. I mean, she's hurting. She's emotional. I mean, I'll go with a record and say, there are people out there that we do talk to. There are different therapists and people that have offered services, that we're going to take advantage of and use because one, it's a lot. And I would actually urge Seth to actually do that as well. Not necessarily the YouTube, not necessarily your third party.
Professional is what you're saying, the therapist, something like that. Seth, I'm sorry, Chris, do you love Seth? Do you have love for Seth?
I have love for everybody in this world. My dogs are going nuts, I'm sorry. I got two little ankle biters over here.
They didn't like that question, apparently.
No, they didn't.
I mean, honestly, because I'm going to tell you why. And I'm not on anybody's side here. I'm on Team Sebastian. Let me make that very clear. And I have just as many questions for you as I do for Seth, but I think there's a time and a place for that, right? But at the end of the day, in the interview you did where you and Seth kind of got heated with each other, it sounded to me almost like you took an immediate big brother protective role. And to me, that showed a man that had love for another person. I just think it's important that, you're going to be drugged through the mud. Hell, I drug you through the mud myself a little bit, But I think it's because people are so concerned about a 15-year-old boy being missing 84, 85 days now. And it's hard for people to comprehend how that can happen. And that's just, normal humans. But I think it's also important that you show the human side of you that's there, right? And that it's also looked at in this question. Because if you were a cold-hearted, person, then you saying, no, I don't love Seth, or I don't have love for Seth would make sense. Does that make sense?
Right. I mean, so there's many ways to look at things. Am I going to sit here and tell you that I'm happy with Seth? No, I'm not. Because that would be just a straight lie. Everybody knows I'm not. But, does that mean that I'm not willing to sit down with him and have a discussion? No, it doesn't. There's going to be some words that are going to be said. Because we're human. We have emotions. We have our own thoughts. At the same time, what my issue is when people start running and saying things that they actually don't know anything about. And that's what bothers me. That whole web sleuths, whatever her name, whatever, I don't really care. That probably was the biggest setup. And I still say to this day, she owes me one of the biggest thank yous for giving her biggest show, But at the same time, yeah, Seth went on there and said some things that he said that have actually been debunked once or twice over, and it was like, why are you doing this here? Because all you're doing is feeding the machine. You're feeding the rage. That's it. Stop. We'll do this offline. We'll go somewhere else and have this conversation. Once you get, and this is where I'm afraid of right now. He did his little show tonight on whoever shows it was. However, some of the comments in there is what bothers me was that people were saying, well, that's who's going to want to look for Sebastian. The support's not going to be there. I got that, and I'm begging people, please do not stop with the support to help find Sebastian. Put the personal opinions aside of the party members. Just don't forget about 15-year-old Sebastian. Please don't forget about our son.
We won't.
I agree with that.
We won't.
And are you gonna be at the vigil tomorrow? And if not, would you like to give a reason why? I mean, I can assume the reason why, but would you like to present your reasoning?
Very doubtful that we'll be at the vigil.
Right.
Very doubtful. One, I'm personally not going to get involved in what I personally feel the vigil. I don't think the vigil has 100% true meaning of what it was supposed to be about. Some of the people that are going to make it known that they're going to be there. No, it's one. I don't want to be a part of that with them. If it was people who didn't have the intentions that they have, sure, I would definitely consider doing it. But, my idea, I'd love to rally to get this community together and not, I don't want one vigil. I really don't. What I would love to do is, I don't know how to plan this by any means, and Katie and I have talked this over, but if it was possible to try to set it up as one day where we could try to pull the entire community together, not little bits and pieces, talk to all the churches and try to get everybody involved, and hold one big, massive vigil. And it didn't have to be in one spot. It could be, do some up in Clarksville where Seth lives. We can do them down here. We can do them up in Gallatin. We can do them wherever. But kind of like as one big cohesive unit to show that everybody is on board at the same place and in their hearts with this vigil. To me, that would be, I don't know how you would top that. I really don't.
No,
I think it could be done.
I'm not a planner, so I'm sorry.
Well, I think it depends on if people can put their pride to the side. You know what I mean? And I would hope that, obviously, you're suggesting this, so I hope that you would. But I think that right now, and I know protecting your wife seems to be your utmost, other than finding Sebastian, obviously, your utmost concern, and that I can respect. But my question is there going to be a time where Katie is going to feel comfortable speaking herself?
That I don't know. I don't have that answer just because it's been so tough to watch people drag her through the mud, say the things that they've said, and it doesn't matter what she says. I mean, she went on, On Patrol Live by herself
Yep, I saw that.
Nobody with her, nothing. And I think she did amazing.
Yeah.
And yet people still attacked her for just doing that. And it was like, are you guys upset because she's not hitting the YouTube channels
Yes.
and answering all these questions at once? I mean, is that what y'all are afraid of? Is that what you're upset over?
Yep.
Well, I think the best thing for her to do is not do that. I think more, my question, in a controlled setting, and I mean controlled by her, not by anybody else. And obviously the assumption is that you're a controlling man and that you control her. I personally don't believe that, but I don't know you either, right? But just off of, my impression of things, I wouldn't say that's the case. Do you think, well, how do I put this? I kind of feel like given the opportunity to clear the air would be nice. Do you think there was anything that Sebastian heard that night in a phone call that would have made him run away, A? And B, I've noticed that it seems like the common sense idea is that he went out the front door, and with some motivation behind that, meaning that law enforcement says there's no foul play at this time or no sign of foul play. Is it possibly because you had cameras inside your house to protect your family, and they saw him go, that camera saw him go out the front door?
Two things about that nature. I do not disclose that information, one, because I don't have the clearance from law enforcement to discuss those things.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have discussed with law enforcement is kind of where that needs to be. Just one, for safety reasons for our house,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife and my daughter, and when Sebastian, one of those situations.
I completely understand that, right? It was a question that's been thrown around a lot. I wanted to ask. I think your answer answers it indirectly, respectfully, but that's the end of my questions. I'm good. Thank you for answering them respectfully.
Hey, now be careful because people don't say I didn't talk to Ben on this show. Okay, be careful.
One last thing. Sorry about that.
And I am kind of a joker. I have to let y'all know.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you want to clarify whether or not you were making fun of someone autistic with your sling blade, and maybe tell folks that about maybe your others? It's not something that's the only impression you do, correct?
So, I like to joke around. I mean, that's kind of one of my ways that I kind of relieve some of my tension. It's not I'm making fun of people. It's not like I'm making fun of Sebastian. I mean, because if people got to see Sebastian and my interaction together, people would understand that we like to joke around. We like to goof around and do goofy things. It's not necessarily me doing this out of despite or to make fun of, and I believe it's hard for some people to understand that, but everybody is taught and learned differently on how they handle their emotions and how they do different things. So,
right.
No, I don't make fun of Sebastian. It's, I don't know. I just like to goof around. That's how I kind of take some of my stress off.
Of course, that's to be expected. But like I said, once again, it gives you the opportunity to address it because people just want to run one way or the other, and I think that's unfortunate.
Well, they're going to do that with this interview too. I mean, they're going as much as I truly wish people.
Not if I take it offline.
Well,
Oh, they already recording this, that.
Oh yeah, they're already screen
But
recording.
here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Even if they are screen recording it, it still gives Chris the opportunity to talk. Like I said, he's answered all my questions. I think that they're answered. Honestly, as far as I can tell, he's not yelling. He's not, throwing a fit. But on the same note, I'm not disrespecting him, and I'm not treating him like a killer. No disrespect by saying that, right? And I think you can get a whole lot more out of honey than you can out of vinegar. So
they really.
Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Bye.